everyone's time here. We did say it was like around a 30-minute info call, 25 minutes mostly for presentation, and then we'll leave some time at the end for some Q&A. We'll get started by introducing ourselves so you kind of know who we are and kind of what we do. I'll start off and then I'll let my lovely colleague Erin, who's here on the call, proceed after. But hello, I'm Jessica Cornell. I am the Manager of Recruitment and Administration with SCLN. That's short for Southern California Leadership Network. I oversee the recruitment for all 3 of our leadership programs, everything from when a candidate is interested in applying, has some basic questions, all the way through overseeing the application process, anything really in the recruitment process. We do an interview after each application, so facilitating the interview process, working with our team and our selection process to decide which candidates are the best, everything from sending out acceptance packages, collecting payment, and essentially my job is done once a candidate like yourself goes through a recruitment process and then becomes a fellow. That's when I hand the baton off to my lovely colleague, Erin Tenenbaum, who's here with us, and also 2 other colleagues, Erin Tenenbaum, she's here, Colleen Menard, who is our Director of Programming and Evaluation, and Lindsay Johnston, who works on programming and communication. So if you do the math there, we're a pretty small team, but we are small and mighty. I've been with SCLN coming up on 3 years in the summer, and it's a pleasure to be here and answer any of your questions. So Erin, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Jessica, and welcome everybody. I'm Erin Tenenbaum. I'm the Senior Managing Director of SCLN. I've been with the organization 6.5 years. Formerly, I used to oversee all of our programming, and now I oversee the day-to-day operations of the organization. I work with our board of directors. I work on fundraising and our financials. And I, especially with this program, the Riordan Leadership Institute, I deliver some of the programming, and I have more of a hand in shaping it as well.
Thank you, Erin. And I know we do have a handful of people here that joined us. So if you would like to do so, feel free to put your name and your company or organization in the chat, just so we kind of get to know you a little bit more and just to kind of see who's interested in the programming. So feel free to put that in the chat if you'd like to do so. But without further ado, okay.
We'll go next.
Click here. Yes. There we go.
Great. So just a little background on us. The Southern California Leadership Network was founded in 1987. We just had 1 program then. And our mission is to advance the region and state by inspiring, preparing, and connecting leaders to drive change. So we, all of our fellows are professionals across all industries, all sectors, and actually because we serve Southern California, many different geographic locations as well. And our focus is helping leaders become more collaborative, more compassionate, both in their personal, or excuse me, in their professional careers, but also in their civic careers. And then just so everybody knows, we are a 501c3 organization. So we have our own board of directors. We raise all of our own funds, and we're an affiliate of the LA Area Chamber of Commerce. So we're not actually within the chamber, but we are an affiliate of theirs. So we run 3 programs in Leadership LA, which is focused on LA County, and we look at the trends and the people and the challenges and the solutions that are shaping the county. And then we focus on mindfulness and self-awareness. So self-care is very important to being a leader. We also introduce approaches to problem solving, such as human-centered design. And everybody who goes through Leadership LA does a personal 360 leadership assessment, and that's focused on the competencies to lead in a VUCA world, a volatile and an unpredictable world. Leadership Southern California is focused on what we call a mega region, LA, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Ventura counties. So the trends and the people and the solutions and the challenges that are shaping those counties. We also focus on the role that each of those counties individually plays in the Southern California region. And our leadership development is more focused on the competencies to lead collaboration and strategic partnerships. So leading teams of people who might be from different organizations or different teams, different departments. We also focus on how to manage burnout and developing communication skills to go from conflict to collaboration. And then the Riordan Leadership Institute is our leadership development program through becoming an effective nonprofit board member. And Jessica will talk about that a little bit in a moment. And then we do a lot around alumni engagement as well. So our alumni come back as speakers. They join us as interviewers for potential fellows, for candidates. They are excursion and venue hosts. We also do a lot of networking events, and we do a lot of continued education opportunities so that our fellows and alumni can continue their leadership learning.
Thank you, Erin. And just a little note, we are actually recruiting for both our Leadership Southern California program and our Riordan Leadership Institute program. So if you're interested maybe in another program, always feel free to reach out to me. But thank you, Erin. Kind of diving in here for the RLI experience. So RLI is short for Riordan Leadership Institute. So if you hear us say RLI, that's what we're referring to. But as Erin shared briefly, it really is a leadership development program that helps leaders wanting to become more civically engaged in a form of joining a nonprofit board. So when you think about not joining a nonprofit board, you think of board governance, organizational stability, fiscal responsibility, and fundraising. And through this program, we do that two ways. First is the classroom learning. So in some of these pictures that were pre-COVID, you see people kind of in the classroom setting. So we bring in speakers, panelists that are well-versed in this topic or in the topics as you see here that bring in many years of experience, either working as a consultant or working with nonprofit boards that can speak on behalf of this. We really try not to do a lot of talking at you. I really try to foster a sense of learning through the sense of talking to one another. As you see here, we're looking to have a class size anywhere from around 30 to 40 fellows. Typically 40 is our max, and each fellow that we recruit has a variety of different backgrounds, background information. Maybe you may have already worked on a board in the sense of a volunteer capacity. Maybe you're a high level volunteer somewhere else, or maybe this is a next step that you really want to take in your career, or you maybe want to give back. So that's kind of in the classroom learning, and we'll talk about that more. But also the second way we do this is through our hands-on field experience. So not only attending our Saturday sessions where you learn about board governance, organizational stability, fiscal responsibility, fundraising, but also you get to work hands-on with a local nonprofit, working with their nonprofit board as if if you were a nonprofit board member. So you get that hands-on experience. So you get to hear that in the classroom and also apply it in real life. You get to hear about what other people are doing within their organizations, and you get to have an overall experience of what's working, what's not, how can you approach this issue, what did you do in your organization to solve this other issue. So it's a combination of both classroom learning and the hands-on field experience that we will cover in the next slide. But so also other things that you will cover in the RLI experience is opportunity to hone your leadership skills in different capacities. So as you say, in financial management, communication, team and consensus building, decision-making, et cetera. When you join a nonprofit board, you may be joining an organization that may have been established many years. You're going into an unfamiliar, uncharted territory. And how do you facilitate your questions, your actions within this new space? And when you're in a class of 40 people going through the same emotions, same worries, same excitement, it really does foster a really good opportunity for learning and growth. And this program is an 8-month program. So each month you will continue to grow, ask questions, and as a cohort, feel more confident going into these spaces like a nonprofit board that you may have never been on. And just networking opportunities with high-level industry experts and peer leaders. As I shared, our programming team works really hard to get the best speakers possible to share their experience, to do case studies, have active conversations with all of our fellows through continuously learning. We also provide different resources before and after each seminar, again, to continue that learning opportunity. We also partner with a lot of local nonprofits to do the board match. So you get to learn more about different opportunities, not only within RLI, but also the greater nonprofit community within mostly Los Angeles County, but also Orange County. As a reminder, our class size is around 30 to 40 fellows. And just here's the schedule of our seminars. As I shared, we do have this classroom learning. We do have a welcome mixer scheduled for September 9th. We are hoping to be in person by this time. We are crossing our fingers. With COVID-19, we're taking things step by step. Unfortunately, our last RLI class, which was actually graduating this weekend, they had to do the program fully remote. So we are prepared to either do things fully remote or a hybrid. So we are still waiting, hopefully by the September launch date to have more of a concrete, but we are hoping to be in person by this time. The only mandatory date on the schedule is our orientation. Like with any orientation, we want to set you up for success as much as possible, answer your questions, and give you the opportunities to start building relationships with your classmates. So that is a mandatory date. We do have a attendance policy that does allow you to miss up to 2 seminars. Apart from orientation, we say leave those 2 seminars for emergencies. As we all know, 2020, you just never know what might happen. So we say leave those for emergencies. If it is something pre-planned like a vacation or a wedding, just letting us know ahead of time is greatly appreciated. And also arriving late and leaving early would also count as a missed seminar. We only have a few hours with you, one Saturday a month. And we want to make sure that you get the most out of this opportunity. If you're only there for half a day, you miss half the content our programming team works so hard to put together. But we are set to be, that one Saturday a month. I will say sometimes that is a double-edged sword in the sense that you may think you're more available on the weekend, but you may also have outside commitments with family, with friends, other community partners that you have to tend to. So we just say, really look at your schedule and make sure that you are willing to, carve time out to participate in the program and to, adhere to the scheduled seminars, but also there is some outside time commitment that we will cover in the next slide. And just here, we do have some topics covered. We are still finalizing our schedule for this upcoming year, but these are some of the topics that will be covered throughout the program, whether that be a seminar fully dedicated to DEI or resources that we provide you before or after the program.
Great. All right. So the board match and field experience. So RLI is different than other board training programs because first of all, it is incredibly comprehensive. It's 8 months, and we really dive deep into topics around being an effective board leader, actually. So as part of the program, each fellow is matched with a nonprofit organization for about a 6-month field experience. And we provide information about the organizations to our fellows, and we do a board match event on the second seminar. So fellows are matched with a nonprofit organization. And during this time, the fellow will attend board meetings, will meet the board, get to know the organization, get to know the community that the organization serves, will be able to see what it's like to be on a board without being a voting board member. Fellows also implement a capacity building project. So it is a board level project. It's not something that they would normally ask staff to do. And we want to be very clear that our fellows are not interns. So they are projects that other board members are either working on or that a board member would work on. And it's to help build the capacity of the organization. It also helps our fellows get to know the organization better and apply their own skills and their own talents and their own expertise. And some of the projects that have been done in the past, we've had people who have created fundraising plans, or we actually had somebody build an organization's IT capacity. That was not a common thing, but or helping maybe to inform a DEI strategy or a volunteer outreach strategy as well. So the project really depends on what the fellow's interests and skills and expertise is, and also something that the organization needs. We don't want our organizations creating something just to host a fellow. Like, it needs to be something that the organization will implement. We do, all of our nonprofit partners have to apply, and there is an interview process as well. And there's an orientation, so they are fully prepared to understand what the expectations are of being a nonprofit partner. And we will launch the application to be a nonprofit partner in June of this year. So I know you're here to learn more about being a fellow, but if you are working with an organization, or you're from an organization and you are looking for board members, this is a great way to expand your board. So please come back and apply, or share with other nonprofit organizations that you know of to apply to be a nonprofit partner.
Okay, so kind of who is the ideal candidate? I will say there's no one size fits all for this question for any of our programs. We are looking for professionals who are eager to, as it says, develop the tools for lifelong community engagement and leadership through nonprofit board service. So, really looking inside of, is this really the time for me? Have I volunteered with an organization? Am I really passionate about this? Can I dedicate the time for this? Someone who wants to learn about the components of a nonprofit board, how you can build your skill sets, how can you contribute your skill sets, build relationships with other people. So someone who's willing to come in and really, take advantage of this opportunity to talk to your fellows, talk to nonprofit partners and ask them about their organization. What is their mission? You'd be surprised how many wonderful nonprofits are out there looking for volunteers, nonprofit board members, donations, and where do you fit within that scheme? So, wanting to also build relationship with our speakers make themselves available to our fellows. So if you have any questions after the seminar or want to continue the conversation, we always encourage you to stay curious, ask questions, ask other fellows within your class. Kind of what Erin was sharing about the board project. There's going to be probably other people within the class that are working on similar projects like you would be working on. So sharing resources. Hey, I have this question. Oh, you found this resource is awesome. Or what is your organization doing? So it's a very collaborative space. So we want people that are willing to share, open up their Rolodex and you're like, hey, connect to this person. They might have, answers for you. And also with staff, we're here to help you and guide you as much as possible. You're not in this by yourself. Even once you're matched with your nonprofit partner, we're always here to guide or facilitate conversations, both good conversations or maybe some bad conversations, but we're here to help. And at the end of the day, are you really willing to put in the time and the effort to that requires of this program? So not only, the Saturdays, but also maybe working on items, after hours. Do you feel passionate about this? And is this the time for you? And kind of going into that, some overall questions here, again, with the time. So as a reminder, seminars are one Saturday per month for 8 months. At least 10 hours per month working on your field experience with your nonprofit board, which includes attending board meetings. So yes, Those 10 hours are spread out throughout the months. I will say those 10 hours are a little bit more heavy after you've been matched with your organization. The board match does happen in October, but the board match and those conversations of once you're matched wouldn't happen until maybe November, December area, and you really start working on your projects starting the next year, so 2022. So it kind of gives you a little bit of time frame there. But those 10 hours does include, yes, attending board meetings, or maybe they have a volunteer, a drive somewhere and you want to participate. They may have committee meetings that you're maybe interested in attending. So that adds to those hours. And again, depending on the month, it may be a little less, maybe a little more, but just kind of give you a little time frame there. Another question that always comes up is tuition. The full price of tuition is $2,500 and includes all in-class and experiential learning for all of our seminars. The only thing that does not include is when we're in person, the drive from your home to the venue. But once you're at the venue, you're fully covered. If the tuition cost is, prohibitive for you, we do have payment plan options and scholarship options for any eligible applicant that wants to go through. And you're kind of the person I get to talk to once you're accepted into the program, what works for you for payment wise. LA Area Chamber members and SCLN alumni, so if you participated in our Leadership LA program or Leadership Southern California program, you do receive a 10% discount, which does bring your tuition down to $2,250. This next slide, Erin.
Life after RLI. So our network, we've been around for a long time. We have more than 3,500 alumni statewide. And we do a series of alumni events throughout the year and activities. We've actually done a lot of webinars recently. The virtual environment for us allowed us to bring in speakers that actually might not live in Los Angeles. It was a little easier, to have different events virtually. We are going to continue to do some of our events virtually, even after after things open up, but we have networking events. We do continued learning. We just did a webinar on managing burnout. We are embarking on a DEI series. So we want our alumni to see us as a place to continue learning, but also a place to continue networking as well. We have our Visionaries Awards. It's the largest gathering of SCLN alumni throughout the year. This year, it'll be held on October 13th. It will be a virtual event, but it's a great place to get to know and to see former classmates and get to know other alumni. We do have honorees as well, and it's our largest fundraising event of the year. And then we're always sharing civic and community leadership opportunities. So we want to be a resource for that for our alumni. We send out communications. We do not send out a lot of communications, although everybody says that. But we do have a general newsletter, and then we have a Just for Alumni newsletter, and it's just for alumni. So we feature who our alumni are and the amazing things that they are doing, and also share opportunities for continued learning that maybe their partner, we're partnering with someone who's delivering an educational program, and we do share civic engagement opportunities as well.
Thank you. And just briefly going back to the last slide, if you are interested in applying for scholarships or payment plan, you can do that in the application itself. So it's the last 3 questions of the application. So just kind of heads up there. Kind of just our trajectory here. We do have an application process. I will say if you would like to start an application or submit an application, please do so in one sitting. Please give yourself anywhere from around 20 to 30 minutes. We do ask, some questions, basic questions about yourself, your work history, but also some open-ended questions, kind of like, why are you interested in applying, or what can you contribute to the class? And I will say a paragraph for those type of answers is greatly appreciated, but give yourself, again, those 20 to 30 minutes to submit an application, because if you work half of it and then you step away, you will have to restart from the beginning. So just heads up there. So as a reminder, our early application deadline is coming up next month on May 14th. Yes, we do have 2 deadlines, an early application deadline and then a final application deadline, which will be in July. But we highly encourage early application deadline submissions, because by the time the second deadline comes around, at least half the class has been selected. So if you do some math there, the probabilities of getting in by the second deadline is much smaller than the first. So we just encourage people to go through our timeline for our early application deadline. Once you submit your application, we'll be following up with you to schedule an interview. All interviews at the moment are via Zoom, virtually. They're around 30 minutes. It really is just to get to know you a little bit better. Either myself, my colleagues, so maybe an SELN board member or alumni will be at these interviews. And again, it really just to get to know you a little bit better and see if maybe your goals align really well with this program, and answer any questions that you may have. Shortly after the interview, we will provide you an answer, whether you've been selected or waitlisted for the class. And then if selected, you'll be just submitting some requests, some materials just to kind of get you set up in our system, and of course, process payment. And then shortly after that, we will start the journey of ROI. So you do have time in case you missed the early application deadline to submit it by the July deadline, but don't wait. And we made it to our last slide here. We want to open up for Q&A, or if you have any questions that maybe we didn't cover, or maybe things that came up. So we want to open up to you. And Lindsay would, shake her finger if I wouldn't say, please follow us on our social media platforms. We're on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Check us out. But I will stop here. And does anyone have questions? Either put it in the chat, or you can, just shout them out to us.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Back
okay.
to you.
Hi. I guess I had a question around what kind of is like the experience that's expected beforehand. So like I've worked with nonprofits, but never like really in like a leadership position. And I'm pretty early in my career as well. So I was wondering if that's still within the scope of like people that you would expect to have, I guess.
Yeah, so most of the RLI fellows are early and mid to career professionals, and you don't have to have, you certainly don't have to have board experience. But what we're looking for is people who are interested in becoming nonprofit board members. So having some experience volunteering with an organization, understanding maybe where you're at and are you ready for a board role as well. So we're sort of, it's for people who are looking for that next level of, yes, I would like to join a board, but I'm not really sure what that entails, and I want to hone my skills or learn the skills to be an effective nonprofit board member.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
And I will say, if maybe you're already on a nonprofit board, maybe this is year 1 or year 2, you can still apply. We actually opened it up a couple years ago because we had people interested that were just joining a board and realized they may not know a lot and they want more of a formal training. So if you're already on a board, we still encourage you to apply. We just say when you do the match is already with the organization you already sit on. So they would still have to apply once the application opens, but it is available for people that are brand spanking new to, sitting on a nonprofit board. We are here. So any other questions? I know we're at our time here at 1:31, but any other questions?
Hi, I have a quick question. Thank you for the presentation. I think a lot of people sort of post-COVID are feeling a little bit more geographically flexible. Would you think this would still be beneficial to someone that might relocate from LA?
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny, that you say that, because we were actually thinking of opening up outside of LA. So our program is going to be a hybrid of virtual and in person.
Yep.
And yes, we want to match you with an organization here in LA, but we're also very interested just in ensuring that the nonprofit sector has what we would say, you know, well-trained board members, quite frankly. So, but that's a great question.
And is your sense that some of these Southern California nonprofits are open to having board members in other locations?
Some are, and I wonder, it's a good question, because I wonder what it's going to look like, given that we've had such, not everybody, I want to be very
Migration,
clear, but
yeah.
there has
Right.
been, yes, but there has been success with, you know, going virtual. I mean, I will be very candid that our board has talked about keeping most of our meetings virtual also.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
can we have board members? We want board members from outside of LA at least, because we're a Southern California organization. So
Right.
I do think that there is going to be some openness to that. I will say this, there are a lot of organizations where they're very geographic specific. And so they really want you to know, they want you to be part of that community, the community that they serve, the geographic community that they serve, but they really want you to understand it. But not all organizations are like that, as I'm sure you're well aware.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
And also another note, I'm pretty sure maybe we may not have covered it here. At the end of this program, there is no, how would I say this?
Obligation.
Obligation, there is the word I was looking for. There's no obligation for you to join the board you were matched with for the board experience project. You know, ideally in the perfect world, you had a great time, they had a great time, they ask you to be a board member and you accept. But there's no obligation for the organization to ask you to be on their board, and there's no obligation on your end if they do ask to accept. In the past, we've had people join other organizations, nonprofit board right after graduation, or, you know, and honestly, we have some people that go through a program and say, wow, this is a lot. Maybe I just want to stay as a high level volunteer before I maybe take that next step. So it's different for everyone. And again, there's no obligation at the end of this to actually join a nonprofit board that you were matched with through the program. So, but any other questions? Okay, well, you see my phone number here and my email. If you have any questions, you know, later on, or if you have any issues with the application, you can find our application itself on our website. It's leadershipnetwork.org under the RLI tab. But if you have any questions, again, feel free to connect with me. I am here to help throughout the entire process. And thank you to my lovely colleague, Erin, who joined us today, but it really has been a pleasure hearing from you. And I saw in the chat amazing organizations that joined us today, but I look forward to seeing your applications. So thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good one.